Hello, Mark. I'm Candace. My score number is 30. I'm sophomore at NCUE. I'm going to read Sophie Scott, Why We Laugh. Hi, I'm going to talk to you today about laughter, and I just want to start by thinking about the first time I can ever remember noticing laughter. This is when I was a little girl. I wouldn't be about six, and I came across my parents doing something unusual, where they were laughing. They were laughing very, very hard, and they were lying on the floor laughing. They were screaming with laughter. I did not know what they were laughing at, but I wanted in. I wanted to be part of that. And I'm kind of sit around at the age going, who, laughter. Now, incidentally, what they were laughing at was a song which people used to sing, which was based around science in toilets on trends, telling you what you could and cannot do in toilets on trends. And the things you have to remember about the English is, of course, we do have an immensely sophisticated sense of humor, laughter. At the time, though, I didn't understand any of that. I just cared about the laughter, and actually, as a neuroscientist, I've come to care about it again, and it is a really weird thing to do. What I'm going to do now is just play some examples of real human beings laughing, and I want you to think about the sound people make and how odd that can be, and in fact, how primitive laughter is as a sound. Is much more like a human call than it is like speech. So here we've got some laughter for you. The first one is pretty joyful. Audio laughing. Now this guy, I need him to breath. There's a point in there where I just like you. I just like you've got to get some air in there, mate, because he just sounds like he's breathing out. Audio laughing. This hasn't been edited. This is him. Audio laughing, laughter. And I finally, and finally, we have this is a human female laughing. And laughter can take us to some pretty odd places in terms of making noises. Audio laughing. She actually says, "Oh my God, what is that?" in French. We're all kind of with her. I have no idea. Now, to understand laughter, you have to look at a part of the body that psychologists and neuroscientists don't normally spend much time looking at, which is the rib cage. And it doesn't seem terribly exciting, but actually, you are all using your rib cage all the time. What you are all doing at the moment with your rib cage, and don't stop it, is breathing. So you use the intercostal muscles, the muscles between your ribs, to bring air in and out of your lung just by expanding and contracting your rib cage. And if I was to put a strap around the outside of your chest called a breath belt and just look at that movement, you see you see a rather gentle sinusoidal movement, so that's breathing. You are all doing it. Don't stop. As soon as you start talking, you start using your breathing completely different. So what I'm doing now is you see something much more like this. In talking, you use very fine movements of the rib cage to seize the air out, and in fact, we're the only animals that can do this. It's why we can talk at all. Now both talking and breathing has a mortal enemy, and that enemy is laughter. Because what happens when you laugh is those same muscles start to contract very regularly, and you get this very marked sort of gigging, and that's just squeezing the air out of you. It literally is that basic a way of making a sound. You could be stamping on somebody. It's having the same effects. You're just squeezing air out, and each of those contractions, ha, gives you a sound. And as the contractions run together, you can get these swamps. And that's when you start getting these wheezing things happening. I'm brilliant at this. Laughter. Now, in terms of the science of laughter, there isn't very much, but it does turn out that pretty much everything we think we know about laughter is wrong. So it's not at all unusual, for example, to hear people to say humans are the only animals that laugh. Nietzsche thought that humans are the only animals that laugh. In fact, we found laughter throughout the mammals. It's been well described and well observed in primates, but you also see it in rats and whatever you found it. Humans, primates, rats, you found it associated with things like tickling. That's the same for humans. You find it associated with play, and all mammals play. And whatever you found it is associated with interactions. So Robert Provine, who has done a lot of work on this, has pointed out that you are 30 times more likely to laugh if you are with somebody else than if you are on your own. And where you find most laughter is in social interactions like conversation. So if you ask human beings, when do you laugh? They will talk about comedy, they will talk about humor, and they will talk about jokes. If you look at when they laugh, you are laughing with their friends. And when you laugh with people, you are hardly ever actually laughing at jokes. You are laughing to show people that you understand them, that you agree with them, that you are part of the same group as them. You are laughing to show that you like them. You might even love them. You're doing all that at the same time as talking to them. And the laughter is doing a lot of that emotional work for you. Something that Robert Provine has pointed out, as you can see here, and the reason why we were laughing when we heard those funny laughs at the start. And why I was laughing when I found my parents laughing is that it's an enormously behaviorally contagious effect. You can catch laughter from somebody else, and you are more likely to catch laughter of somebody else if you know them. So it's still modulated by the social context. You have to put humor to one side and think about the social meaning of laughter because that's where its origins lie. Now something I've got very interested in is different kinds of laughter, and we have some neurobiological evidence about how human beings vocalize that suggests there might be two kinds of laughs that we have. So it seems possible that the neurobiology for helpless, involuntary laughter, like my parents lying on the floor screaming about a silly song, might have a different basis to it than some of that more polite social laughter that you encounter, which isn't horrible laughter, but it's behavior someone is doing as part of their communicative act to you, part of their interaction with you. They're choosing to do this. In our evaluation, we have developed two different ways of vocalizing. Involuntary vocalizations are part of an older system than the more voluntary vocalizations like the speech I'm doing now. So we might imagine that laughter might actually have two different roots. So I have looked at this in more detail. To do this, we've had to make recordings of people laughing, and we've had to do whatever it takes to make people laugh. And we got those same people to produce more post-social laughter. So imagine your friend told a joke and you are laughing because you like your friend, but not really because the jokes at all. The jokes of that. So I'm going to play you a couple of those. I want you to tell me if you think this laughter is real laughter or if you think it's posed. So is this involuntary laughter or more voluntary laughter? Audio laughing. What does that sound like to you? Audience, posed. Sophie Scott, posed. Posed. How about this one? Audio laughing. Laughter. I'm the best. Laughter, applause. Not really. No, that was hopeless laughter, and in fact, to record that, all they have to do was record me watching one of my friends listening to something I knew she wanted to laugh at, and I just started doing this. What you found is that people are good at telling the difference between real and posed laughter. It seems to be different seems to us. Interestingly, you see something quite similar with chimpanzees. Chimpanzees laugh differently if they're being tickled than if they're playing with each other. And we might be seeing something like that here. Involuntary laughter, tickling laughter, being different from social laughter. They are acoustically very different. The real laughs are longer, they are higher in pitch. When you start laughing hard, you start squeezing air out from your lungs under much higher pressures than you could ever produce voluntarily. For example, I could never pitch my voice that high to sing. Also, you start to get these sort of contractions and weird whistling sounds, all of which mean that real laughter is extremely easy, or feels extremely easy to spot. In contrast, posed laughter, we might think it sounds a bit fake. Actually, it's not. It's actually an important social cue. We use it a lot. We're choosing to laugh in a lot of situations, and it seems to be its own thing. So, for example, you find neutrality in posed laughter, that kind of ha 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 sounds that you never get, you could not do if you were laughing involuntarily. So they do seem to be geniusly these two different sorts of things. You took it into the scanning to see how brains respond when you hear laughter, and when you do this, this is a real boring experiment. I just played people real and post laughs. We didn't tell them it was a study on laughter. We put other things in there to distract them. And all they're doing is lying listening to sounds. We don't tell them to do anything. Neverthelessly, when you hear real laughter, and when you hear post laughter, the brains are responding completely differently, significantly differently. What you see in the regions in blue, which lies in auditory cortex, are the brain areas that respond more to the real laughs. And what seems to be the case? When you hear someone laughing involuntarily, you hear sounds you would never hear in any other context. It's very unambiguous, and it seems to be associated with greater auditory processing of these novel sounds. In contrast, when you hear someone laughing in a posed way, what you see are these regions in pink, which are occupying brain areas associated with mentalizing, thinking about what someone else is thinking. And I think what that means is, even if you were having your brain scanned, which you hear someone, which is completely boring and not very interesting. When you hear someone going, ah, ha 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 ha, you are trying to work out why they're laughing. Laughter is always meaningful. You are always trying to understand it in context, even if, as far as you're concerned, at that point in time, it has not necessarily anything to do with you. You still want to know why those people are laughing. Now, you have had the opportunity to look at how people hear real and post laughter across the age range. So this is an online experiment we ran with the Royal Society, and here we just asked people two questions. First of all, they heard some laughs and they had to say how real or posed do these laughs sound. The real laughs are shown in red and the posed laughs are shown in blue. What you see is there is a rapid onset. As you get older, you get better and better at spotting real laughter. So 6-year-olds are at chance. You can really hear the difference. By the time you're older, you get better, but interestingly, you do not hit peak performance in these datasets until you are in your late 30s and early 40s. You don't understand laughter fully by the time you hit puberty. You don't understand laughter fully by the time your brain has matured at the end of your teens. You are learning about laughter throughout your entire early adult life. If you turn the questions around and now say not, what does laughter sound like in terms of being real or posed? But we say, how much does this laughter make you want to laugh? How contagious is this laughter to you? We see a different profile. And here, the younger you are, the more you want to join in when you hear laughter. Remember me laughing with my parents when I had no idea what was going on. You really can see this. Now everybody, young and old, finds the real laughs more contagious than the posed laughs. But as you get older, it all became less contagious to you. Now either you're all just becoming real grumpy as you get older, or it might mean that as you understand laughter better and you are getting better at doing that, you need more than just hearing people laugh to want to laugh. You need the social stuff there. So we've got a very interesting behavior about which a lot of our late conceptions are incorrect. But I'm coming to see that actually there's even more to laughter than it's an important social emotion we should look at. Because it turns out people are uh, fundamentally nuanced in terms of how we use laughter. There's a real loving set of studies coming out from Robert Levinson's lab in California, where he's doing a longitudinal study with couples. He gets married couples, men and women, into the lab, and he gives them stressful conversation to have while he wears them up to a polygraph so he can see them becoming stressed. So we've got the two of them in there, and he will say to the husband, "Tell me something that your wife does that irritates you." And what you see is immediately just ran that one through your head briefly, you and your partner. You can imagine everybody gets a bit more stressed as soon as that starts. You can see physically people become more stressed. What he found is that the couples who manage that feelings of stress with laughter, positive emotions like laughter, not only immediately become less stressed, they can see them physically feeling better. They're dealing with this unforeseen situation better together. They are also the couples that report high levels of satisfaction in their relationship and they stay together for longer. So in fact, when you look at close relationships, laughter is a phenomenally useful index of how people are regulating their emotions together. We're not just emitting it at each other to show that we like each other, we're making ourselves feeling better together. Now, I don't think this is going to be limited to romantic relationships. I think this is probably going to be a characteristic of close emotional relationships such as you might have with friends, which explains my next clip, which is of a YouTube videos of some young men in former East German are making a video to promote their heavy metal band, and it's extremely metal and the mood is very serious. And I want you to notice what happens in terms of laughter when things go wrong and how quickly that happens and how that changes the mood. His coat is about to get wet. It's got swimming trunks on. Got a towel, eyes. What might possibly happen? Video starts. Serious mood. And his friends are already laughing. They're really laughing hard. It's not laughing yet. Laughter is starting to go now. And now they're all off. Laughter. They're on the floor. Laughter. The things I really like about this is it's all very serious until he jumps onto the ice, and as soon as he doesn't go through the ice, but also there isn't blood and bone everywhere. His friends start laughing. An image if that had played him out with him standing there going, "No, seriously, Harish, I think this is broken. We wouldn't enjoy watching that. That would be stressful." Or if he was running around with a visible broken leg laughing and his friend are going, "Hart, I think we need to go to the hospital now." That also wouldn't be funny. The fact that the laughter works, it gets him from a painful, embarrassing, difficult situation into a funny situation, into what we're actually enjoying there, and I think that's a really interesting use, and it's actually happening all the time. For example, I can remember something like this happening at my father's funeral. We weren't jumping around on the ice in our underpants. We're not Canadian. Laughter. Applause. These events are always difficult, and I had a relative who has been a bit difficult. My mom was not in a good place, and I can remember finding myself just before the whole thing started telling this story about something that happened in a 1970s sitcom. And I just thought at that time, I don't know why I'm doing this. And I don't realize I was coming up with something from somewhere I could use to make her laugh together with me. It was a very basic reaction to find some reasons we can do this. We can laugh together, we are going to get through this, we are going to be okay. And in fact, all of us are doing this all the time. You do it so often you don't even notice it. Everybody underestimates how often they laugh, and you are doing something. When you laugh with people, that's actually letting you assess a real ancient evaluative systems that mammals have evolved to make and maintain social bonds, and clearly to regulate emotions to make ourselves feel better. It's not something uh, specific to humans. It's a real ancient behavior which really helps us regulate how we feel and make us feel better. In other words, when it comes to laughter, you and me, baby, and nothing but mammals. Laughter. Thank you. Thank you. Applause. Thank you, Mark.